Welcome to Stuff and Whiskey. I'm Josh.
And I'm Erin.
And today we're talking about why you should support your local store and not expect anything in return.
Welcome to the channel, bringing a real-world perspective to the real-world whiskey consumer.
Today we're talking about shopping local and supporting your local liquor store. But before we get into that, Erin, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm hanging out with my best friend.
Oh, Lord.
How are you?
I was a lot better before that.
I knew that'd make you uncomfortable, so that's why I did it.
I'm doing good. We just did a head-to-head right before we filmed this, and it was a lot of fun. So we always have fun doing the head-to-heads, but we also have a lot of fun doing these episodes too. Before we get into our main episode topic today, we're going to do what we are going to start calling our quick sips portion, where we do a little mini review at the start of each video podcast so that you can get our impressions on a bottle that we may not get to in our blind sample pool because of the randomization. We don't always get a chance to get around to things as quick as we would like in that format. So we're going to do quick sips, and that's what we're drinking tonight, which is Wagon Uncut Unfiltered.
So is this smoked? Or is that just the brand name?
It's just a brand name.
Oh.
So what this is this is distillate from MGP in Indiana. That's the distillery. And Wagon is a company that's based in Las Vegas. And they source their distillate from MGP. They bottle these up in batches. And they have 3 different primary products.
Okay.
They have some special bottles that drop here and there. But this is the top end of their primary products. This is the Uncut Unfiltered. This is batch 62, and the date bottled was the very first, the date that our very first video on this channel released.
Cool.
That's totally happenstance. I didn't get that sentimental buying it. This is 57.71%, which I did the math before we started filming, and that's 115.4%.
Okay. So she's got some heft to her.
Yep, $70. And spotty availability, this will hit our market every month or two.
Okay.
It goes pretty quick. Like, you've got to be there the day it releases. You might catch some the next day, but if local groups start talking about...
It's a cool bottle.
It is a really cool bottle. If local groups start talking about stores that got their shipments in on this, they're going to go pretty quick. There's also the small batch, and there's the straight bourbon. One of those is $30-ish, and the other one is $50-ish. They're both supposed to be pretty good, but this one is, of all their offerings, kind of the pinnacle of all their offerings. So here's our little quick sip on this. On the nose, it smells all right. I kind of expected to get more on the nose for all the hype that this product seems to get.
Wait till you taste it.
And for $70, I kind of want a little bit more on the nose, but that also could be my nose. I mean, this thing it's got some size on it, but doesn't work that good. It's definitely got
punchy.
It's got a punchy flavor to it. Even though it is higher proof at 115, it's not bowling you over with heat. It's pretty good.
It's not hot, but there's something there that you're like, woo.
It's kind of sharp. Like,
maybe that's what it is.
I think punchy is the best descriptor here. You get that punchiness from the proof. It's not burning you up. Yeah, but you're getting kind of a cinnamon spice to it, which is a flavor that I really like. I mean, MGP, a lot of people say that there's very similar flavor profiles across all their products. I tend to like MGP stuff just fine. And depending on the bottling, you can get more oak on some of them. And I particularly like the oakier MGPs. I'm not getting a ton of oak on this. It's more on like the candy, fruity sweet side. We're going to enter this into our blind sample pool. It's going to go up against several different things because it is such a kind of hyped up product these days. So we're going to really test its mettle completely blind when we don't know that's even what we're drinking. But first impressions overall, where are you at on this? Kind of like a snapshot of our grading system.
It's a thumbs up.
Thumbs up?
It's good.
I'm thumbs up too. I don't love it right off the bat. I'm not going to give it 2 thumbs up, but thumbs up. I like it.
Yeah.
Good pour. So for $70, it's maybe a little high, but it's worth grabbing once to find out if you really like it.
That's for us to determine in our blind head-to-heads.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, let's get into our main topic about shopping local, supporting your local liquor store, and not expecting anything in return.
That's a bold strategy.
Yeah. So the common advice that I see online for people is they say, go to a local store, buy stuff continually, try to make your face known, with the idea that if you're in there enough and you're chumming it up enough, that they're going to hook you up with allocated products. The issue I have with this advice...
You're not fooling anybody, honey.
Right. Like, you're not the first person or the 40th person to come into that store and to try to, rub elbows with the shop owner and try to get a hookup on something. It feels like really disingenuous advice to me.
Yeah.
And we may be kind of biased in this because we've both worked for ourselves. We've both been not necessarily small business owners, although, we paid taxes as small business owners.
Yeah.
But we both were photographers that were hustling and trying to make a living. It's not easy. And when you are a small business owner, it gives you a different appreciation for the people who are actually running storefronts with overhead and they have all kinds of bills and payroll that they have to pay every month.
And 100 people just like you coming in trying to get allocated stuff.
Yeah. And so when you're talking about it in the sense that like you want to go in and you're always asking for Blanton's or you're asking for Weller or you're asking for Eagle Rare or you're asking for these products that everybody's hunting after, and that's the only time the shop owner sees your face is when you're asking for these products and then they don't have them for you and you just turn around and leave and then you come back again. It's such a disingenuous way of handling relationships.
Yeah.
I think the better advice that I see that is a more... still not nuanced, but people say relationships are key. That really is true. Relationships are key. So if you're supporting your local store because they're your local store, like we support our geographically closest store. They happen to be a great store. We're very happy going there and supporting them. Locally owned, we want to see their business do well.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And I think if 2020 taught us anything, it taught us the importance of supporting the local store, the local business owner, especially when times are tough. I know things are starting to get better now, but it's still important regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason that we say you shouldn't expect anything in return is because you don't have any idea who that store's other clientele is. So if you're going into that store and you're continually supporting them, and you're expecting something in return from that, you're expecting them to set aside a bottle of Weller 107, or you're expecting them to set aside a bottle of Blanton's.
That's a little entitled.
Or even more than that, like you're thinking end of year, I've spent $2,000 at this store. I want them to get me a George T. Stagg or a William LaRue Weller or some kind of big allocated bottle, a Pappy Van Winkle. You don't know who else is shopping in that store. You may not be in the top 20 of clientele that's shopping there. You don't know where in that store's pecking order you fall. So I've known friends who have gone to stores and supported them and spent a lot of money, but then they get frustrated at the end of the year when they want a specific allocated bottle and they don't get their hands on it from that store. And then they feel like they've wasted a bunch of time and a bunch of money. And I don't feel like that's the best way to look at a relationship.
No, that's like you like being really nice to me just to get something from me, not because you actually like me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just disingenuous is the word.
Yeah, it's very disingenuous.
That's the word.
Yeah.
It really is a tough situation because if you really want something and you want your local store to be able to get that for you, you can voice that. But putting the expectation on them that you want them to deliver on that, and if they don't, then you're going to pull the plug and you're not going to shop there anymore. That's your prerogative, and I get it. Like, you may not want a relationship with your local store. I would argue that they can help you a lot, especially if you get to know them and they get to know you and they get to know what you like. And then you can say, hey, I really like that bottle of Smoke Wagon Uncut Unfiltered. What's something else like that I could try?
Yeah. And then the next time they see you, they're like, oh, I have something you might like, because they know you and then they have a relationship with you. Yeah. And it may not be something allocated, but it may just be something new that you've not tried before.
That's actually a really good point right there, because most of the allocated bottles that I've gotten have come from that. They've come from me voicing a preference or even asking a question. I might go in and say, hey, I want to try something new that I haven't tried that's barrel proof. What do you have? and they're like, oh, I've got some Stag Junior.
But you don't
Would
have
like
any
to try that?
expectations of getting
Right.
Stag Junior. You legitimately want to go in there and try something new that's barrel proof. That the expectation you have is the expectation you state.
Yes.
There's not an ulterior motive there.
Yes.
I think that's the key, is like you shop local and you support your local store because you're trying to support other people and build a relationship. And as an adult, it's hard to make friends. So who doesn't need more friends, right?
Yeah. And to that point, like when you're talking about, oh, I want to try something that's barrel proof, and maybe they pull a Stag Junior out of the back, the new batch that you don't have yet. Or maybe they point you towards something that's sitting on the shelf that you haven't tried yet. Mm-hmm. Be ready to buy that too. Be willing to take the journey because you're in it for the experience and not just to get the allocated, hyped up products, and you're looking for a store that's going to scratch your back on that because you bought a case of Wild Turkey 101 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, take care of your local store, build a relationship with them because you want to support them, not because you're looking for them to give you something in return.
Yeah, good point.
Proper relationship building 101.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it for our main topic today. Let's get into other stuff. Erin, what do you have?
Well, there's a podcast that I started to listen to, and I've only listened to a couple episodes. It's called 60 Songs That Explain the 90s.
I believe so, yeah.
And I think I got you into it, but I started to listen to them in order, and now I think I'm just going to go in and pick the songs I want. But I started to listen to, there's one about Alanis Morissette, You Ought to Know from the Jagged Little Pill album. I mean, this is like...
That's a 90s anthem, I feel
like. The 90s are back, and I am here for it. Yeah. I am in my element, and I hope they never go away.
Full disclosure, we're both born in the 80s. Her much earlier in the 80s than I was.
Not much.
All of our real formative years happened in the 90s.
The 90s.
Like, that was middle school, high school years, right through there.
Class of 2000, baby.
Well, I mean, you just gave away your age.
I don't care. I'm past the point of caring, you guys.
That's what happens when you get old.
I legitimately don't care.
Yeah. But this particular podcast, yeah, Erin was telling me about it. She was telling me 60 songs that explain the 90s.
Gin Blossoms.
Being a 90s kid, I'm like, oh, let me go see what's on this list. So I actually binged some of these today. I don't think all 60 are released yet. It's definitely on Spotify. The link we'll put below. There's a lot of good stuff on here. So, I mean, who doesn't like music? Like, the very first episode...
What did you listen to today?
Well, the first episode, You Ought to Know. Skip that. The second episode...
You skipped Alanis?
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
I don't care about that.
She's a classic.
The second song, Gin Blossoms, Hey Jealousy.
That's a good one, too.
Yeah, it is, but...
That was a cool story, and I listened to it long ago. I can't remember what it was, but it was a cool story.
Okay, let's do our job here. The podcast is a guy. He does a really good job. He tells you some of the background. It's not altogether too different than probably a lot of music podcasts out there, but you do learn some interesting fun facts, and all the songs are from the 90s. That's the niche, but it's not unlike many musical podcasts out there. We've listened to Song Exploder. There's been a lot of things, but instead of going into picking the song apart, he really talks more about just the artists and their relevance to the decade of the 90s. Yeah. And that, for us, was really cool to listen to.
Yeah, the impact they put on the decade or beyond, even.
Yeah. The third episode, Wu-Tang Clan, Cream.
Oh, yeah.
Cash Rules Everything Around Me.
That's your jam.
The fourth episode, Missy Elliott, I Can't Stand the Rain.
Oh.
Super Duper Fly.
Super Duper Fly.
Being the age that we are, and growing up in the generation that we did, it was all about the music videos. MTV. Missy Elliott's video.
With her in that black trash bag. I mean, it wasn't a trash bag.
Inflatable latex suit. Yeah. Man. Big budget music videos were all the thing, and it was that was revolutionary.
Oh,
Missy Elliott's video
so happy talking
was
about
revolutionary. I listened to a couple of other ones. I listened to Master P, Make 'Em Say That was really big in my high school. So this is a little bit of self-disclosure, I am what I would probably label as a intense, introspective person.
Correct. I would label you that as well.
I spend a lot of time up here. And I also have spent a lot of my life not really feeling like I fit into a lot of places.
Aww.
Like, not in a sad way, but like I didn't want to fit in. I didn't want to do what everyone else was doing, but I also didn't want to do what everyone else wasn't doing just because everyone wasn't doing it.
Adolescence, man.
I just kind of forged my own path through life, and I prefer it that way.
Yeah.
That's the way I want it. I want it that way. That's in here.
That was in there. I wanted to listen to it.
But
Backstreet Boys. Oh my gosh.
But that's not one of the ones I've listened to yet, and I won't listen to that one.
That song is my 10th grade year.
But I'm probing towards a larger point here.
I'm sorry.
In that Wu-Tang Clan's Cream, Missy Elliott's Super Duper Fly.
Yep.
I listened to those 2 episodes, and they really resonated with me when I was listening to them, because I think Wu-Tang and Missy Elliott, like, they did get some widespread notoriety in their day and age. Mm-hmm. Just as, like, another episode I listened to that I really enjoyed was the Tool episode, Stinkfist. That's the song that they chose because it was such a big song, but they really used that episode just to talk about Tool, the band, which I think is the most revolutionary, genius band of all time ever. Fight me in the comments. I don't care.
He's not lying. He really does.
Tool, Missy Elliott, Wu-Tang Clan, none of them were the biggest in their genre. They were always kind of off the beaten path a little bit. They kind of did their own thing, and some people recognized it, and other people kind of just pushed them off to the side.
So you kind of connected with them.
I really did. Yeah. I really connected with that. But there's a lot of stuff in here.
Weezer. Weezer. I'm going to listen to the Weezer one.
Yeah, Red Hot Chili Peppers. There's some DMB. I was not a Dave Matthews Band fan.
Mariah Carey. There's a Mariah Carey one. That Christmas album she put out. There's a song from there.
Some TLC. So there's a lot of
Scrubs.
There's a lot of formative 90s songs in here. It's a good listen. I would say I probably wish the episodes were 20% shorter.
Probably like people are going to wish this episode was.
Probably.
Sorry.
But we want you guys to feel like you're just sitting down in our kitchen and talking with us and having a conversation.
And I get excited about the 90s. Yeah. I'm sorry, not sorry.
It's hard for us to shorten that up. Anyways, this is a fun podcast. I think if you're of that age, or you're even maybe a new kid.
A young kid?
A
Generation's Y?
If you're whatever generation is coming into their formative years
now. Is not a millennial. Younger than a millennial.
I don't know what it's called. But
Gen Y,
if that's you, and you're kind of going back to the 90s because it's kind of becoming some like retro throwback thing.
It's awesome.
Then it's worth listening to for those reasons as well.
Yes.
But great podcast. We absolutely recommend you check that out if those are your songs, if that's your jam. So absolutely, if that's your jam, literally, those are some jams. That was before you had bops.
Jams. We got bops now. We had jams in the 90s.
Exactly. That's it for our other stuff this week. That's it for our episode this week. If you want to join in to supporting the channel, becoming part of the Stuff and Whiskey YouTube community, you can check the link below to find our Patreon. We'll also put it down on the bottom.
Fancy. I just saw that.
It won't be animated. I'm not doing all that work. But it's gonna pop up. It's still here. It was there and it's still here, and now it's gonna go away. So
okay, bro.
You can check that out if you want to support the channel, become part of some of the discussion, some of the behind the scenes stuff. Erin, take us out of here.
Well, thank you for listening and watching today's video and listening to our conversation about the 90s. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Please go support your local store. Give them some thumbs up and some cash, and just build some relationships with your local store owners.
Get some good products while you're at it.
Get some good products.
Maybe sitting on the shelf. Maybe not from the back room.
Maybe right off the shelf. Leave some comments below if you like the 90s, if you've tried the Smokehouse Uncut Unfiltered that we're having today. Let us know. Smoke Wagon. Or
a Smokehouse Unfiltered. I don't know what that is, but I'm interested in it.
Okay, the Smoke Wagon one. Sorry. I don't know these things.
Yeah.
If you'd like to see more videos like this and our blind head-to-heads that we do 2 videos a week. Hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell, and you'll be notified every time we post a video.
Till next week, guys.
Cheers.
Sounds good.
Oh, I feel a little crazy right now because you got me all excited talking about the 90s.
I know.
10 seconds of silence.